Hello, everyone. Welcome to Alignment Recess Live. I am Tiffany Lauren Jones, your host. And this space is where we have real conversations with leaders, creators, and disruptors who are redefining success and alignment on their own terms. And today's guest is Patrice Cameau. She is a fabulous communications expert, speaker, founder of Camp Space turned wellness and travel advocate for working moms. She's built a new lane that empowers mothers to reclaim time, identity, and peace through intentional solo travel, self prioritization, and radical honesty around burnout and womanhood. This is a conversation about what happens when you stop surviving and you start choosing yourself without guilt. So, help me to welcome Patrice. Welcome, Patrice.
Hey, thank you so much. Quite honest to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here. Also, fun fact, and thank you, Patrice, for reminding me yesterday. Patrice is a past client, so there's a lot of history here and a larger story that I'm really excited to dig into. But before we get into that, I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself, where you are now. I gave you an intro, but I like for people to introduce themselves and tell their story their own way.
Absolutely. I think when I look back to that day, I think it was April 8th, maybe 2022-ish.
Oh, good memory.
Yeah, and I remember because the 4 and the 8, and I was exhausted. I felt like I was doing the things that everybody wanted me to do. And then I think I fast forwarded a year and a half, and I just stopped doing everything. So I stopped doing my podcast. I realized that I didn't wanna have this content studio. Because I learned that wasn't what I needed, and one thing I always learned from you was, like, you have to do what serves you. So where I am right now is I am truly passionate about helping busy working mothers put themselves first, and I've spent the last I closed my business June 30th of 24, but we had already been subleasing, so I disconnected from it starting in January of last year, and I spent most of last year just redefining what I wanted, who I wanted to be, how did I wanna show up? And that sounds so cliche, but how do I want to look? What do I want people to feel when they see me, when they hear my name? And I spent last year figuring that out, therapy and dealing with work trauma and getting through that and traveling and working out and like sweating out all the things. Patrice right now is somebody who is unapologetically committed to making sure she feels good. And sometimes that feeling good doesn't mean everything's happy, right? I have cut a lot of things out. I've cut a lot of things back. I say no. I've set really I have a systemized level of boundaries set in my life. And I'm in a good space. There's not much I would change. I'm in such a good space. I feel like the last time we talked for real, I was like, I'm ready to move to Miami.
Yeah, you were. We were like, shut it all down.
I'm
Get
out
me
of
out of here.
literally said on my walk today, I was outside. I would go walking every day. It was raining. And I was like, I could live here. I could live right in this home for a long.
Yeah, I feel that's so real. Like once you start stepping more into alignment, you don't have the urge to chase as much. You realize you really have everything that you need most of the time. You just need to adjust a little bit.
Yeah,
But where you are is usually good as is. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you do need to change your environment.
for sure.
But I think it's beautiful when you realize you start slowing down and appreciating what's already around you on a level where you don't feel the need to move or do something as radical as I did and quit my job and sell my house and
It's
leave the
been yeah.
state. You don't have to do all that. Can you walk us through the moment where you realized that you really needed to put yourself first, not just as a concept, but really as a lifestyle? Was there a specific moment or really a catalyst where you like, you know what, enough is enough. I really need to change something here.
Absolutely. It was probably about a year and a half in the making, but I distinctly remember it was in October of 2023. I was about to turn 40. And we were late to school. I didn't know my son needed to dress down. I forgot another child's lunch, and I missed out on a work meeting. So, like,
Oh,
my world was falling. I thought it was falling in on me. And so
right.
I was crying, like, hysterically crying. Also, my daughter's on the autism spectrum. She was having a meltdown as well. So, I had to go into the office, and I got to the parking lot, and I just started crying. Like, I was already crying, but it just really hit. And so I needed to record a podcast episode. And I was like, I'm not doing any of this anymore. So I got on my voice note and I record or video. I think it was a voice note. And I just recorded myself saying, hey, this is the last episode. I can't do this anymore. I am stretched too thin. I am not a priority to myself or anybody else. And I hate the way this feels. Then turning 40 was weird. So from October to December, I think I had this bout of depression. As many people, as I talk to people, when they're hitting these milestone birthdays, it can be this realization or this unfair air quote reminder that you haven't done the things when that's all BS, but you might go through it. So just
Yes.
for it.
I feel like I'm almost to a milestone and I'm feeling it already, but I've definitely observed others who've hit milestones and
Real.
they've expressed, yeah, a lot of, they start to feel a sense of urgency. And I'm starting to feel that a little bit as I'm approaching 40 in a few years. But
Yeah.
I feel it. I feel it. So I can only imagine once you get to that next month, there are more milestones than 40, of course. But I definitely feel this. Oh, you start to reflect a lot about how have I spent my time? Am I really living my life the way that I want to? And
Yeah.
if you've made everybody makes mistakes, right? There's always, I think you aren't living life if you're not making mistakes, 'cause that's how you learn and you get data and you know what works for you and what doesn't. But there can be a lot of reflection time. And I think also a little bit of grief of realizing where you are. And if it's not fully in alignment,
Mhm.
feeling like, okay, maybe I've wasted time, but you haven't really. You did what you thought was aligned then. And it's really exciting for the possibility to now shift into a whole new life. You can
Right.
shift at any time.
Right. Yeah. And I think I turned the day I turned 40, it's the heavens opened up. I felt a lot better. But then I went into the following year, which was 2024, which was the transformational year. And the physical changes in me were because I needed something to take my mind off of the stress of work. It was just byproduct of doing something healthy versus drinking alcohol or doing other things to numb the pain. I don't know if there was this catalyst or this one moment versus a lot of different things just piling up to then the work trauma. I was able to go to therapy and had 10 sessions that were taken care of. But we worked through the work stuff in 2 sessions.
Oh, wow.
We had all these 8 other sessions to really get to the work of like, why do I feel like I have to be perfect? Where does little Patrice feel like she has to make everybody happy? And why were you the teacher's pet for your entire career? And why do you
Right.
think you're better than everybody else? So we worked through all those things to now get to here and just feel so much lighter.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. What gave you permission to reimagine motherhood through your own lens? Because I know a lot of women and especially mothers feel how you feel, but they don't necessarily feel like they have permission or that they're allowed to take up this much space and really reimagine their own lives. They feel their obviously their main responsibility is their family, but not necessarily leaving room for themselves. I don't love the word balance. I'm working on not using that word as much because it doesn't really exist. It's like an integration of all the things, really. But what gave you permission to really feel like, you know what, I get to live my life too, and I'm going to do that in my way?
I've always been the person that's gonna live her life. So our first child, I had 10, he's 10 years older than our second. So things are easier when you just have one. So I would take him on trips with me. I would take him everywhere with me. But then also with just one, it was easy to just drop him off. So I still had a life. I still had
Right.
So then when baby number 2 came around, I said, "Oh, this is difficult, but then this is harder. This is work. This is challenging." Then baby number 3 came around less than 2 years after baby number 2, and it was like, "Oh, I don't like the way this feels at all. I need to get away." And it was literally just, "I don't like how I feel. I need to make a change." Again, I'm the type of person who is usually going to do what works for her. I am someone who I use things like social and blogs and vlogs for inspiration. I don't consider any of it Bible. And I understand that people are putting out their best.
Right.
Y'all got BS going on in some way. So I've been able to, I can very easily disassociate myself from what is given and just move on with my life.
Right.
And I know that I have happy, healthy children. I know that. I know that me and my husband do a really great job in cultivating people who are going to be okay if I'm not here. I also know that if I'm not feeling my best, and again, you're not gonna feel your best all the time, but I think the pandemic was a wonderful reminder, or that also, I think, opened my eyes. That might have been another thing that kinda say, "Oh, wait a minute. It's 3 people here that need me plus my husband, and we are in this house." And we actually had a really good time. Like, sometimes I say, I wouldn't mind having a pandemic again without the catastrophic side effects.
Right.
But every day I had to go for a walk just to clear my mind. I think the other I can give myself permission to, like, reimagine motherhood is because I know myself. I know what doesn't feel good. And so when you know that something doesn't feel good, you gotta give yourself permission to say that. And when you at least just say that, then the others around you are now at least hearing you. I've just been someone who can really tap into what's right and what doesn't feel right and then act accordingly. And sometimes it's a conversation with my husband, sometimes it's gotta go. I think we understand that our family is our family and we do things that work for us.
Right. Absolutely.
This works for us. It might not work for you. And that's okay. And I think once mothers also start to do that, they'll be so much more empowered to run their lives and their families, their households how they need to without permission.
Right, absolutely. So it's really about creating what works best for you, as you
That's
said.
it.
I think that's really it's not all alignment is, but a big part of alignment is a creation process. It's designing your life and your experience as a human as you see fit that really works for you. And when you have other people to consider, I think when you take the approach that you've done, where you're like, you know what, I want to play some more and we can play together sometimes, but also sometimes I want to play in the sandbox by myself, you approach it as more of an experiment and an experience rather than this whole huge life change that has to be sad or difficult. There may be difficulties that come with it depending on your circumstance. Sometimes those conversations can be tough if something's not working
Yeah.
and saying, hey, we need to adjust this and this. But I think there's also an opportunity to do it your way where you take a really fun approach. So you started solo traveling, which I'm a huge fan of, but I think especially as a mom, a lot of moms feel like they can't do that. And so I think, or even some women I think are not comfortable solo traveling, but I highly recommend it. I know you've been loving it and you call yourself an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
So I feel like I relate to that. I feel like we have a lot in common in that way. So, how has solo time transformed your own rhythm and clarity?
Solo time, whether it's walking by myself in my neighborhood or flying to Bali, gives you clarity, right? So when you are by yourself for these extended amounts of time, all you hear is your thoughts, all is yourself. You mull over the things, you cry, you laugh, and there's nothing better than that, right? And when you're able to be perfectly happy with who you are, then everybody else is an addition. And then you realize that when the other factors come into your life that aren't additions and aren't bringing value, you actually can very easily remove them because you say, you know what, I'm good over here. I love it over here. And because so I was the only child for 15 years. And then, I'm used to being alone. And then my
Mhm.
mother had another child, but then I was at that point a teenager and doing my own thing. But even like when I would have people come over to do a sleepover, so my birthdays, I would leave them. So I would go upstairs by 9:30, be like, "All right, see y'all tomorrow."
I gotta do my own thing.
Want to do my own thing because I just like myself. I just enjoy the company that I keep. Then you have 3 kids and it's, "Wait a minute, how does that work?" But when it comes to, like, our family rhythm, like, even if we're in the car together and I need, like, a second or I just wanna listen to my podcast, I'll turn around to my babies who are 6 and 8, and I'll say, "Hey, guys, we'll have our pick you up pleasantries and then say, 'Alright, you guys, mommy really wants to listen to this, so you're welcome to talk to each other, but I am gonna be listening to this, so I'm not gonna talk to you right now.'"
Boundaries.
Yeah,
I
simple.
love it.
Okay,
Yep.
we reconnect. and that's that. So again, knowing yourself is a beautiful thing, but you have to be intentional about it. You have to make a point. And if that's uncomfortable for you, then we need to figure out why. Don't you want to be by yourself? What are the things that you're hearing in your head or that are making this uncomfortable? Those are some deeper things that we have to uncover. But I love being alone. Like I that
Me too, girl. Sometimes too much. My friends are like, "You've been inside for a month or so now." I'm like, "Yeah, I love it here."
Also, I went to lunch with a girlfriend yesterday and I had a ball and I was so excited to see her.
Yeah.
Had a great time because I think when you do value your own time so much, when the opportunity comes again to have other people in your space, you are also more intentional about it.
Yes.
Like
Absolutely.
this feels good. I'll
Yes.
do it. So
That's so true. That's so true. And I feel you're also setting such a great example for your kids to see
yeah.
someone in their family, especially a parental figure who is really taking care of themselves and prioritizing themselves, especially for your girl as a woman, so that she can see the example of, hey, love isn't sacrificing yourself 100% of the time. It's not self abandonment. It's not giving until you don't have anything left to give. And I think a lot of women, especially moms, that has been the standard. It's been as a mom or as the leader of the home, that is what love is, and that is what you have to do. And there's a lot of guilt that comes with not doing that and dismantling that or unraveling that. So, what would you say to the moms who say, I can't take time away or I feel like it's selfish?
Yes. So the nice, sweet Patrice would say, I'd probably say, "Why not?" I'd probably say, "Have you even tried?" But the real Patrice would say, "That is your ego." Because if you feel like you are the only person who can take care of everything, then that's not okay. Because no, none of us are that important. I also challenge these women to look at their community. Have you done the work to build a community of people that you trust being around your kids? And if
Right.
then we got to do that because none of us should be doing this alone. As cliche as it sounds, it takes a village.
Yeah.
Can't tell you like we are a two-parent household, both very active. But if we need to call some other reinforcements, we call those reinforcements because there are tools that we don't have in our toolbox that somebody else has. And children need community. When I grew
Yeah.
up, I had people that I was accountable that held me accountable. So it's like, homegirl, why are you the only first and only line of defense? That's a problem.
Right.
We gotta fix that. Why is this burden on you? Because even if you have tried to build the community, there if you've tried to build said community and the people that you need aren't showing up, then that's another conversation we need to have. Because the burden shouldn't only be on you. And sometimes that is we don't want to shake the table. We
Mhm.
don't want to make those demands. But when you don't, then you continue to go down the slippery slope of not liking you, not loving life, not being able to be your full self for your children, feeling alone,
Right.
not taking care of your physical body, not liking what's in the mirror. So there are so many negative consequences from when we say things like, I can't be away,
Right.
can't do this now. But I do understand how it could make someone feel guilty because we have been
Mhm.
conditioned as women to, like you said, have to take everything on.
Yep.
But I fight that. I fight it in the home. When I say fight, I don't mean like a battle, but I
Right.
in it all. And I say, I am doing this, so you need to do this. We are both holding the fort down here. I also think these are conversations people have to start having before they have children.
That part.
I didn't have it before I had children, but thankfully we're able to figure it out. My husband is somebody who listens and he does try. And I try.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who are having children and they are not asking the questions or making homes, but not having the conversations of who's washing clothes, who's taking out the trash, who's picking up
Right.
from school every day if we both work. We just got to keep talking for sure.
Absolutely. keep talking, and education, I feel, is important. There's so many things that we don't learn in school that I feel like we don't really learn life skills in school. If you're blessed to have a family that's teaching you how to live life, but even that doesn't always work because that's how they see life. It doesn't
Right.
mean that it's going to be the lifestyle or the life design that's best for you. But we don't really have these conversations around, hey, here's what you need to be talking to your partner about before you have children, or even before you choose a partner. How is your lifestyle? What's my lifestyle like? Does it align? I think a lot of times we're having these conversations internally with ourselves and we're seeing and assuming, but it's just obviously we see the results of that with the some divorce rates and single parent households and all the things. But I know that's a very complicated conversation, and there's so much more that goes into it. But I feel that obviously education and resources too would be so helpful to even have the awareness that it's an option,
That's
you
the thing.
know?
I think
Yeah.
a lot of moms who just don't know it's an option. When I would post things like, "Oh, I'm on a trip. I'm in Miami by myself," I will get so many DMs from people I know. "Wait, your husband's okay with you going to Miami by yourself?" "Yeah, why would
Yeah.
this?" And that was a very foreign concept to them. And I said, "And I'm also okay with him taking a trip by himself too, but it's just taking yourself out of your comfort zone." And that's why I advocate and I loudly talk about these things because I just want people to start to talk about it. And I think the other thing is like when you're in those spaces of feeling the discomfort, feeling like everything is on your shoulders, right? If you're not able to have the conversation before you have the kids, which we know may not always happen,
Right.
there has to be a process for getting that out, right? There's this phenomenon called default parenting where no matter if the mother is working the same amount of time, let's say the mother is making more money than the father, right? She's carrying the household. She's still doing all the things just by default. The teacher calls her by default. She is the only person that exists, even if she is contributing more than the other partner.
Right.
In instances like that, we have to look at things differently. And we have to set, when I talked earlier about systematic boundaries, we have to do things like that to help culture shift. And it might take one family at a time, one loud mom at a time. But the more you see it, I remember my mom, both of my parents worked, but my mom was the only one who picked me up. And now when my kids go over there, I remember for years I used to say to her, "Can the kids come over?"
Right.
But now I put it in a group text to the both of them, or sometimes I'll ask my dad first, "Can the kids come over?" Because he's a part of this too. It's not only on her.
Absolutely. And for everyone listening as well, even if you don't have kids yet, this can still apply to you as a woman because it happens in relationship
Yeah.
too. You can have a default partner where you're taking on all the responsibility. And again, as women, we tend to do that because we're nurtured. Oh, many times we enjoy it. That's can be our love language of taking care of the people that we love. But when it gets to a point where you find you don't have the space or room or capacity to do the things for you, then as you said, the conversations had to be had. Your current lifestyle is highly intentional. You have remote work, your daily walks, you've reduced your alcohol intake. What did it take to design that level of alignment? You spoke a little bit about it at the beginning. There was a lot of work that you put in to make that shift, but tell us a little bit more about that and specifically around the boundaries that had to be put in place, both internally and externally, to really live the way that you do now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So we'll start with the remote work, which was accidental. But now, if I look at anything else, it has to be remote. And that's not just because I want to be in my house, it's because I want to be able to walk to my kids' school. I want to be able to pick them up. But it's also because my husband works at a very demanding, high security job where he cannot leave. He can't
Mm,
point of contact. So wherever I work, I need to be able to be flexible and move about if my family needs me or if I need to do things like what I'm doing right now. But when we talk about calendars and these intentional walks that I take every day, I've had conversations with my team. So I block on my calendar. If you're my coworker, you will see on my calendar Monday, Thursday, and Friday block. That's when I work out. I don't hide it. That is when I'm going on my walk. That is when I'm at the gym. I don't hide it. If you ask,
right.
block, then I'm going to say, oh, I'm working out. Now I'm still checking email at that time. I'm still, if you need me, but we're not adding meetings to the calendar because that is when I'm blocked.
Right.
That's my time. Simple. But I don't just, those intentional boundaries and these life decisions aren't just for people to do to respect me. I have 3 direct reports and we don't text each other. We use Google Space. And unless there's an emergency and you need to see this immediately, which is rarely that, I don't need to bother you in your personal text. Do that. We're not friends, we're not family, we're coworkers. And things get weird when your boss is texting you all the time.
It's too
But
much.
you deserve boundaries too, right?
Mm.
Something so small, I think, makes a big difference in work life balance, in work culture, because they don't have to be tripping off of me in their phone,
Right.
in the space. I respect work hours. Again, speaking to intentionality, I don't know if I wanna move anymore because I live in a walkable city. I can walk to Whole Foods, I can walk to the gym, I can walk to Trader Joe's, I can walk to my kids' school. I can literally walk anywhere I need to go. I can walk to the rest
Right.
and I have it. So I don't know if I need to go anywhere. And those are
Yeah.
so important to me. And when we talk about things like alcohol and THC, there was a point where I needed the both of those because the day was so stressful and
Me
it
too.
made me so sad. And I had to it took me doing a fast to realize I didn't need that and to realize,
Mhm.
"Trees, you gotta figure out how to work through this stuff without it. A cocktail a day is not gonna get make the pain go away.
Right.
I'll be there the next day." And so then when you start to realize how good you feel, now don't get me wrong, I love we me and my husband went out last night. I had a
Love a
cocktail.
little drink,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was to celebrate,
Right.
medicate. And realizing how good I felt when I started to just cut back, "Oh, okay. Imma be a lot more intentional about this.
Right.
To pay attention. I'm gonna tell people I'm not drinking right now. Not because you can't, but I'm good." Yeah, and I think these things are I think this life design that you talk about often is constantly evolving, right? It
Yeah.
it might look different 6 months from now. My son is going to college, so who knows what will shift then. But I'm okay with rolling with it because I know that these are all based on decisions that I am making, because we're making. No one is gonna force me into something that doesn't feel right. And I'm not gonna force myself into something that doesn't feel right. And something not feeling right is different from challenging yourself,
Tell us
right?
a little more about that.
Yeah, so I believe that we should all be let's take the solo trip, for example, right? So I know that there are women who going on a trip by themselves, even if it's to spend a weekend close, could be a challenge. That could make
Right.
you feel angst. But what's on the other side of that? The other side of that is you'll have just some time to yourself. You'll get to discover a new place. And if you don't like it, you don't like it.
Right.
So that's challenging yourself. That's stepping outside of your comfort zone. Now, the flip side of that would be if somebody asked you to go on a girls trip and they're like, "You gotta come," and you didn't wanna go on the girls trip. You didn't wanna be with the girls, you didn't wanna go
Mm.
someplace, but you went anyway. No, like, those are and I don't know if that was a good comparison.
It is. I see the difference. It's like doing something you wanna do, but feeling fearful to do it. You challenge yourself to do it
Thanks.
versus, "I never wanted to do this in the first place," and you're pushing yourself to do it
Yeah,
because you don't wanna be the bad person or you don't wanna say no or yeah, that was a
that's
perfect example.
that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I had to work on all the things you mentioned, especially cutting down on alcohol and THC. I mean, it just feels so nice. And when you aren't having that feeling in your everyday life without it, it's so subconscious. It's not for me, it wasn't even a conscious choice of, I don't feel great. So I'm going to go get a cocktail or I don't feel great. So I'm going to go have a little gardening session. It was more so of I feel relaxed and I wanna
Yes,
relax right now.
yes, I
And
wanna be
it's
fun.
yeah, I wanna have fun, I wanna let my hair down for a little bit, and I still enjoy that time. Of course, we all need time to have fun, but like you said, the difference is I don't need those things to have
Yes,
fun. I don't need those things to relax. There's so many other ways to do that. And it eventually, for me at least, it becomes a crutch of this is such an easy default. And it's like anything. You can use something as medicine but then it comes to a point where it becomes poison for you if you're using it beyond its intentions. I'm proud of you. And I love to see more of the integration of, okay, we don't have to totally get rid of things, but let's just shift our relationship with it. And that's what I think this whole conversation is really about, is just shifting things around like a puzzle. And let me find the puzzle that really works best for me. And
And
you've done that beautifully. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I love that I've gotten to see so much of your journey over the years. When we worked together 2 to 3 years ago now, you talked a little bit about what was coming up for you. You were feeling like your business wasn't fully aligned with you. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And how did our work together help you move forward or see yourself differently?
yeah, I had gotten to a point where owning a brick and mortar business was wearing me down and wearing me out. And it was the financial gain was not enough, and it wasn't worth the stress. But also, even if it would have been enough money, I still would have been stressed and I probably still would have been over it. And so you were able to help me see the finish line and helping me see life and what it could be. I feel like it's this life without me living in Miami, right? I wake up, I get my kids to school, we have a nice morning, I go work out, I come home, I work, I pick my kids up, we relax. And in the times where when you do feel like, that's when I just take a momcation, a solo trip. Like that is what that's how I'm able to recharge, get it out of me. I think also there was a time where Patrice was like, I thought that my business was who I was. Like, if I didn't have this business, then nothing mattered. And I really realized that was me not understanding that Patrice, was valuable. I thought that I only mattered if I had a brick and mortar. That was
Right.
the point. And that was why it was also so hard to let it go because I remember being on my basement floor talking to my husband, just crying. And I said to him, I was like, what am I if I don't have this, that, which is wild. Thankfully, thank God I moved past that and realized that wouldn't exist without me. And I feel like we talked about this during the session.
Yeah.
Well, everything you touch will be amazing. It's what you're supposed to do. And closing the business, really honing in on who I was and what I loved is how I've been able to just transition into literally just being myself.
Yeah. And flowing with life and doing what you want to do. Yes, which is so beautiful. So you gave yourself permission and you have a lot of, even from when we first started working together, you were always like, okay, action oriented. I think that's a big piece to mention because there's a big manifestation community out there. And I want to be clear that's not what this is. You can manifest, but manifestation is not just dreaming and waiting for it to happen. It takes a lot of aligned action. It takes a lot of self awareness and a lot of self discipline to see what needs to shift, but then to have the courage to actually do it and to know that it's an ongoing refinement process, which means I may make the shift, but it doesn't mean I'm going to shift directly into it right now. It
Yeah.
may take me a couple of iterations. That's something I definitely did not know. I
And
didn't know that, but I learned that over time. And I love to look back on my life and see the patterns and the
yeah.
threads and use it as data. Like I'm like a mad scientist with my life. It's just very exciting to me, which is why I do the work that I do.
Yep.
But to your point or to your story, I just want to give you your kudos because it sounds great and we see the result of the work that you put in. But the truth is, it takes a lot of work to shift into alignment. It takes a lot of intention and a lot of energy, but it doesn't feel like bad work. It's exciting because you're shifting into things that feel good to you.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's so beautiful, the life that you have created for yourself. What would you tell the past version of yourself now?
Oh, that's such a good question. Past version of myself. Do you, girl. Just do you. Just keep doing you. Like, so many factors that are gonna make you feel like it's not enough or you should do this or you should do that. just keep doing you, keep running your race. You're okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think one thing, like you mentioned, me being a very action oriented checkbox kind of person, that was one of the things that my therapist wanted me to relax on. Cause we would be in sessions and I would be like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? And I remember she said nothing. And I was like, how do I do that? No, really. And we laughed about it, but there's this for me and probably for many moms, you have this never ending to do list and you want to get it done and you want to be
Right.
effective and you want to be productive, but then there is nothing left. And I think the other thing, so I say all that to say, I think the other thing would be like, do you, but also you're enough. You've done enough. Like,
Right.
look at the fruits of your labor. Look at your children. Look at your home. It's good. It's okay.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
okay. You're happy again, happy, healthy. Like those are the things that are you happy? Are you healthy? And does that mean you can't want more? Absolutely. We should always be striving. But when the strive turns into you've lost who you are, you despise who you are or who you live with, you wake up and you're like, "How did I get here?" You just said how you can look back at your life and see how everything connected. That's how I am.
Mhm.
I am thankful for that traumatic time in my job because it led to the therapy, which led to the things, and
Right.
but when you wake up and you're like, "WTF?
What happened?
We gotta take some time away, girl, because
Absolutely.
you're lost."
Yeah. Absolutely. And the work, I love that you mentioned about letting go of the checklist because the work required and the action that we're speaking of, it's really mental shifts more than anything because it's giving yourself permission to just be yourself and do the thing that you've always wanted to do and to trust your intuition. So it's more energetic work than let me make a checklist and check
Yes.
all the milestones of, okay, I'm meditating and I'm
Yep.
doing this and I'm going on my walks and blah. Like I went through that phase too. And I was like, okay, I am aligning correctly. And then I very quickly learned that wasn't really it because it's not realistic. You
Yeah.
can't say, at least for me, I haven't reached that level of enlightenment yet, like a monk where I can just have bliss 24/7. And I still don't know that I fully believe that's possible because we're humans and the human experience is to feel all of the
Feels
emotions. Yeah. And to learn from them and grow from them and to really know what it is to have all of those experiences. So I think that there's a lot to be said about the work being more energetic than anything. It's not necessarily the traditional way that we're used to having an agenda and a checklist. It's really learning how to do the work to go in internally and connect with yourself from there.
yeah.
So you had the idea for the momcation, which I love.
Yes. So I don't think I made up the name.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't trademarked it or anything.
Fair. You have started I've seen the movement, or at least in my reality, you have really adopted the movement even if you didn't fully create it.
Yeah.
What are you hearing from your community about the shifts that they experience?
They're loving it. They're like, "Oh my god, Patrice, I went on my first trip by myself and it was amazing. Oh my god, Patrice, I went to Aruba and I did all the things that you said do and it was amazing." Like nobody has said I took an intentional trip to focus on me and not think about anybody else. No one has said that they've done that and they felt like they came back lacking. Okay? You take this time away. And also, I've had fathers do this. I have had dads go. I literally had a friend who just went to Aruba by himself and was very happy to tell me that I had a great time.
I
Like,
love it.
he has 3 kids and it's busy. So I've never had any negative feedback. I think when I'm also sharing the places I go, I give itineraries. So I'll say day 1, do this, day 2, do that, day 3, do that. So you don't have to think about anything.
Right.
I try to I go to safe places. There have been times where I've taken
Yes.
trips and I had stayed on property the entire time. This isn't the time really to be, in my opinion, to be venturing out into the wilderness.
No.
Not
Don't recommend.
already planned security and all those things, but it is
Mhm.
probably the momcation, unless if you're an adventure buff, then of course, but this momcation is exactly that, intentional solo time to reconnect with you. Because as a parent, You have to connect with your children and everything that they have going on,
Right.
all the other things. So, how often is it that you can wake up and not have to wake somebody else up? How often is it that you can go a full day without asking someone, "What do you want to eat?" And it's not a vacation. You don't go with your partner to go on a trip with someone else. You have to consider what they want. The point of this is to not consider what anybody else wants, only you for 3.
Right. Absolutely. And it can be you can go to a hotel in your city.
I do it
You
all the
can
time.
do a staycation,
I do
you
it
don't
all
have
the
to go to another country. That'd be great if you can, if you want to, but like you said, yeah, do it. It's accessible to you.
time.
I even do that sometimes. I'll go just rent a hotel room for a night to do business planning, or that's still action oriented and that's work, but it gets me outside of my environment. But I can also do it just because I like to order a veggie burger and fries in bed at a hotel and dessert. And that just makes me so happy.
I'm getting the beef burger though, Tiffany. I'm getting the
Oh,
beef.
okay. That's fair. That's fair. Yes. That's very fair. Okay, so we're gonna do something fun that I just started doing on the last episode,
Okay.
and I'd love to do with you. It is called rapid fire recess.
Okay.
So they're just 4 questions I'm gonna ask you. You're gonna rapid fire your responses. There's no pressure. Obviously, there's no wrong answer. Whatever comes to your mind first. Okay, are you ready?
Let's do it, girl.
Okay. What is a belief you had to unlearn about motherhood?
That somebody else can tell you how to raise your kids. They can't.
Period. Favorite city for a solo trip?
I was gonna say Miami, but it's Tulum.
Ooh, okay. I love that. Song that instantly shifts your energy.
Calm and Patient by Janae Aiko.
Ooh, yes, I feel the vibes. I got goosebumps.
I know that song, I get goosebumps.
Yes.
Most perfect song, one of the most perfect songs.
I love it. And last one thing you do when you feel misaligned.
I go for a walk
Ah, yes, so refreshing,
outside,
especially in
Nick.
nature. Yep, Jinx.
Yep.
Yeah. Wonderful job with our rapid fire recess. Love it. And a final word for our listeners for today. What would you say to the mom listening who's craving? And I would say, what would you say to the mom or the woman?
Yeah,
Yeah. What would you say to the mom or the woman listening who's craving something different but feels stuck in obligation, guilt, or exhaustion?
absolutely. Sister girl, I feel you. I hear you. And there's another way, right? And you're going to feel exhausted again. You're going to feel the stress again. But there is a way to put yourself first because you matter. You matter just as much as everybody else, just as much as your job, your kids, your partner, your parents, your girlfriends. You matter too. And actually, you matter most. So let's figure out what you need to do to get back to center so that you can just feel better, feel lighter. That doesn't mean you are not doing the things that you are responsible for. That just means you're putting yourself first. You're making yourself a priority. Because if you don't, who else is going to? Like, that is the truth. If you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And I think I think we know that.
Yep.
Maybe we're still thinking somebody is going to save us and give it. No, baby. No, we are going to have to figure this out, and I wanna help you, so let's figure it out together.
Absolutely. Yes. Beautiful words of wisdom as always. Patrice, how can everyone connect with you? Where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah. Find me on the internets everywhere, Instagram, my website is patricecameau.com. My Instagram is at Patrice Cameau, Cameau. My threads is at Patrice Cameau, and I just started a YouTube channel, Patrice Travels. This is actually my second YouTube channel, but this one is strictly focused on inspiring and empowering busy mothers to put themselves first by taking solo trips. But I also do these one-on-one talk with me, couple vacation vlogs in there. My solo birthday trip, I went to Aruba for my 41st birthday by myself. There's a vlog on that. I recently went to Costa Mesa, which was an amazing experience, and it's a perfect place for momcation. If you've never thought about going to the Orange County, the OC, if you're going to California, bypass LA, go to Orange County. It was a vibe. And I also have an ebook. You can get all this stuff on my website though, patricecamo.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Patrice, for being here with us today. You
I
are fabulous as always. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay aligned, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.